Hey guys, it's Danielle and I am back with another process video for you guys today. Now, I know I'm going to be working on an 8.5 by 11 layout and I have my photos ready. You can see here that I have a couple different prints of the same two photos. I just don't know what direction I want to go with. I have some black and white, some color, and you can see different sizes, and we'll kind of see what works out as I start creating my layout. I also have a couple different background options because again, I don't know really where I want to go with that either. So I have just a plain white sheet of cardstock here, and then I also have this super great lined paper, and this comes from an essentials pack that you can get from Felicity Jane that comes with just a couple of really good black and white patterns, some lined. You can see on the back of this, it's a floral. There's some polka dots and just different things like that. I will link to it down below so you can check that out. So I might use this as my background. I always like using lined paper like this because it's super easy to journal on. So that was my idea with this. But like I said, I don't know quite what direction I'm going in. I also know that I want to use these printables. Now, I don't know if you're aware, but when you subscribe to Felicity Jane Kits, you also get some bonus printables sent to your email every month. So it's just a fun little addition to the kit. These are the November printables, and they also come with silhouette files so that you can use them on, to use your silhouette to cut them out. I have a silhouette, but I typically just cut them out by hand because it's just easier for me. And I don't know, that's just typically what I do, which is what I plan to do for this layout too. Now, when I first printed these out and was kind of looking at my photos, the thing that stuck out to me the very most was this, my happy place word phrase right here. And I also like the together, but I knew that I kind of maybe wanted them bigger. So that is what I did. I actually brought them into my silhouette program and I made them bigger, and then I just printed them out. So you can see I made this one just a little bit bigger, but this one much bigger. And I think my idea I had in mind is to kind of use this as my title, or even just this, having the idea of just having this maybe at the top of my page and then some photos and then some decoration down here. I maybe won't use the together, but I know I kind of want to use this happy place. And so that is sort of my plan going forward. So let me play around with these a little bit and I will be back with you. All right, so I'm just showing you here how I did some stitching on my layout, but as you can also see is that my plan has kind of changed up a little bit. So instead of doing an 8.5 by 11 layout, I'm going to do a 12 by 12 layout. But as far as the whole overall design, that's pretty much staying the same. So right now I'm just deciding what photos I want to use. I have a couple different sizes. I have some black and white, some color, and I'm just trying to decide exactly what I want to use. Now, as far as products for this layout, I already mentioned that I'm using the November printables, but I'm combining those with my October Emmeline kit. As far as the Felicity Jane kits and products go, they really are interchangeable, and it's easy to adapt the November printables to work with my Emmeline kit, and I think it all blended together really nicely. Now, the first option here is I'm using these two smaller photos. I wasn't quite positive if I wanted to mix the colored photo with the black and white photo, but I was just sort of testing those waters just a little bit. My biggest, I would say, struggle here was that I thought the together rectangle printable was just a little bit too big for the space. But then I remembered I had the printable printed out at regular size. So I cut that together out again at the smaller size. And I think that that is just a much better fit. I already pre-cut these squares because I knew I kind of wanted those below my photo, whether I use the smaller photos or the bigger photo. And I sort of put a couple labels down there just to sort of get a feel for what this layout would look like. And once I sort of saw how that would look, I decided to test out that one bigger photo that you can see there to the right. It's a 4x6. So I am going to switch things up just a little bit and put that bigger photo. I removed one of my pattern paper squares, and you can see I have that black and white photo printed a little bit smaller. And this would have been a good option too. This scalloped piece I just cut from one of the pattern papers, and I was just trying a couple different layering techniques. I didn't know if I wanted that scallop piece to
sort of go below my white square or not, so that it would maybe match my happy place. But really in this process, I'm just testing things out. I'm just seeing what things look like. I'm a very visual person, so I can't totally decide if I like one thing until I actually see it. So as you can see, I have decided on the 2 smaller photos, and I like the way that looks. And um, I'm just putting that down on my layout and really deciding if that's what I want to go for. And you can see that I've brought my tape out. So this is sort of the look that I am committing to. Now, as I start taping down all of my pattern paper and my photos, I'm not really being that picky about my spacing. I'm sort of an imperfect scrapper. It's funny the things that I will be particular about and then the things that I just don't worry about. But as far as placing down all these elements like these squares and things like that, I'm not super picky. I do bring out a couple other pieces that I know I want to use just to make sure that I leave enough room for them. So you can see here below my pattern paper squares, I want to put one of these word strips, and I like the one that says I love right now. And so I just want to make sure that I leave enough room to adhere that down to my layout. But other than that, I'm not really super picky. I'm going to start taping down these squares. And as far as if they're evenly spaced from one another, I'm not really that concerned about that. Now I am sort of testing if I like the reverse side of these pattern papers. So behind that navy polka dot one, there was sort of a tilly option that I thought maybe I would like. And then behind this striped one, there was a floral that I thought would look really good. And I debated that for a second, but I decided I would stick with the stripe. The Felicity Jane papers are always my most favorite part of every kit. So it's really hard for me to sort of commit to a certain pattern because the back side is just as good as the front side. But I decided that these sort of basic patterns were just good for this layout. Then after I adhered those squares, I made sure to get my happy place in where I wanted it. And so then I knew how much space I had for my photos. And you can see I just sort of pieced everything together so that it just sort of looked good and everything just sort of fell into place. Now, one of these word strips said you and me, and I really like that because this is a photo of my dad and my daughter. So the you and me phrase just sort of fit. These are pictures that I took when we were camping last summer. We were down by the river. My husband was fishing. I actually cropped him out of these photos. And I was just taking pictures of everything. I was taking pictures of my husband, of my mom, the sort of scenery which we were at. And I saw my dad and my daughter throwing rocks into the river. And it was just so precious and so cute. And my daughter pretty much knows that she can get my dad to do anything. Poppy will do anything that she asks. And it's just so sweet. And I like to capture that relationship any opportunity I get. So I just thought the you and me just sort of fit. Now you can see that I took a couple of those phrases like the you and me, the together, and I'm going to do this I love right now phrase. And I've popped them up using pop dots just to add a little bit of dimension to my layout. And I liked the way that turned out. And you can see I've sort of stuck down those labels. Oh, I haven't yet. I'm doing it right now. So I'm going to stick down these labels, and this is just a good way to document the date, and I plan on either stamping that or writing that in later. And now I'm just figuring out what else I can add to my photo. Now I have these 2 wood veneer hearts that I thought fit. The bigger one kind of stands for my dad, and the little one sort of stands for my daughter. On the printables, there was this heart, and I thought that maybe I would layer those with that, but I didn't really like the tone-on-tone look with that striped paper, so I decided to just stick with the hearts. But I didn't like, they sort of felt lost on that striped paper. So I cut out some white cardstock, a little bit smaller than the original square here. You can see that there's a border around it, and then that sort of gave those wood veneer hearts a home. Now I'm using some Scotch quick dry adhesive here to glue these down. I'm just sort of getting those stuck into place. And true to my sort of nature, I'm not really particular about if that white square is centered or if the hearts are centered. I sort of just stick them down. Now to add a little bit more yellow, I decided to add some of these enamel dots in that yellow color. I have a yellow square and I wanted there to be another little sort of bit of yellow on the layout, and I really like the way that looks. Now, I originally had planned on stamping my date, but it didn't fit in the space. So I just take my pen and I write the date down and I get that into place. And then the last thing I have to do is get my journaling in place. I do have a story to tell about this. You can see in the upper right-hand corner, I've cut out a little notch. And I'm going to create a pocket back there and write my journaling on a tag and tuck it into place. And then I call this layout done. So I just wanted to thank you guys so much for watching. I've worked with the November printables today, and my fellow creative team member, Jana, also worked with the November printables and made a different project. So I'm going to link the Felicity Jane blog below, and I would encourage you to go check out her project as well. All right, you guys, we'll talk to you very, very soon. All right, bye-bye.